if Jin-Woo, I'm just gonna call him Jin-Woo, replaced Naofumi. So, yeah. Spoilers for for solo leveling. Yeah, like, spoilers for the whole, like, need to watch, like, you need to, like, read the entire, light novel, or something like that. Just watch until after he defeats the final boss, and, yeah, then come back and watch this. So, yeah. So the way this is gonna work is, like, after he defeated the Dragon Emperor, or the Sovereign of Destruction, his wish for the rulers was, instead of, like, going back in time, and ended up not becoming super famous, he asks to be sent to a different world that needs help, like another world that, like, requires a lot of help, otherwise it'll be destroyed, like, by other members of the Chaos, like, other denizens of the Chaos world. So, yeah. Yes, that. So, yes, he is still famous in his own world, instead of being just a normal high school student. He is famous, but, everyone just thinks he died defending. So, yeah. Like, he defeated him, but he died in the process. That's what they think. So, yeah. He has to do that. He is sent to the other world while being super injured. Like how he is. So, cause, yeah. So, yeah, he wakes up, like, he, like, sort of passes out or something, like, or blinks, like, closes his eyes, and then when he opens them again, he's in the room with everyone else, and there's, like, a big gasp around everyone, because he's super injured, like, yeah, so injured that, like, if he gets any more injured, he's probably gonna die, like, near fatal. So, like, everyone else sees that, and, yeah, they all gasp, and they rush into a bed, just to get some sort of help. So, and he is still awake, so he just, he ends up passing out, and because it's him, like, because of how he works, anytime he goes to sleep, he heals completely, or not completely, well, yeah, I think completely, especially now that he's, like, fully awakened Shadow Sovereign. So, yeah, he passes out, and then the doctors there see him healing really quickly, and they think it's just the power of the shield. It's like, not only do you take less, like, you don't take as much damage, but after a little bit, you heal really quickly, so that's what they think. So he does that, and, like, everyone else is sort of introduced. So he passes out, and he wakes up, like, when everyone else is brought to the room, and he wakes up fully healed. So, yeah. So, yeah. He goes into the room, and then when he learns that, like, he talks to everyone and learns what they talked about in the thing. They ask him who he is, and he says, "You've probably heard of me. I'm Jin-Woo from Korea." And he's like, "What are you talking about? How are we supposed to have heard of you?" He's like, "What do you mean? I'm, like, the most famous guy in the world." Like, he's a bit confused about that. He's like, I wonder. And he asks them, like, cause he saw and, like, met the top guys, so he knows, like, at least Japan, because he, like, Japan was sort of considered his domain for hunting. So, yeah. He says, like, guys, I saved Japan. And I was like, what are you talking about? How would you save Japan? Nothing happened. And so he just asks them all those questions. He's like, and when they realize that, it's like, oh my gosh, are all of us from different worlds? And yeah, he figures that out. They ask him why he was so injured. And his response was, I was saving the world. And yeah, they ask, like, saving the world from what? And because he's, like, he at least wants to explain some things, because he really doesn't have a reason to hide much, like, other than, like, his own powers. He says that he was fighting against a, like, I don't know, would it be called, like, a dragon god, I guess? Yeah. I guess that's what he would say. He'd say, I guess, what you guys would consider a dragon god. Like a near immortal being that rules all over all dragons and dragonoids. Yeah, when they ask if he won, he said, yeah, but then that happened. They ask him why he healed so fast. He just says it's part of my special, like, it's part of my abilities. They ask him what his abilities are. He says, I don't want to reveal that, because it'd be better to hide my abilities until the right time. So yeah. He does that, and so yeah. So he meets the king the next day, and he introduces himself. Actually, no, he doesn't. Well, he does, but, like, not, like, formally, because the king doesn't like the shield. And they choose the parties. There's mine, and Jin-Woo just says, like, and just accepts that, because he would like to have someone explain what's going on in that world. Like, what he's supposed to do. So they go to all the places, and instead of him buying armor, he just says, I don't really need it. I have my own. And they ask him where it is, and he just creates it on his body, because he recovered. So he can make his armor. The Shadow Sovereign's armor. It looks awesome. At least I'm imagining. Sorry. I'm thinking of it like... Yeah, I'm thinking of it like the Knight's armor, but 10 times cooler. Like, I think it was sort of like... what is it? Like, I'm thinking like Alduin type style armor. Something like that. Alduin dragon armor. I just think it'd be really cool, like horns. And he rides on a shadow horse. Something like that. Yeah. And yes, he does have his, I don't know, how big would his army be now? Because, like, he got some guys from the army that against who he was fighting, like the other sovereign's army. So he has a couple dragons, like, I guess 4 dragons, I think. He has 4 dragons instead of 3 now. Actually, no, he had 4 before, but one got destroyed, and he got another one. Yeah. So he has, like, his Grand Marshal, Belion, he has Beru, he has Ygritte, and he has everyone else that didn't already get destroyed by the Sovereign of Destruction. So, yeah. So he has, I'd say... I'm gonna say 200,000, because he killed a bunch. of guys, and there's also a bunch of guys with his own army killed. Something like that. Yeah, I'm saying that. So, yeah, he has all them. Yeah, so he has a bunch of... Yeah, so... Oh, jeez. He has his armor. Looks awesome. I don't even know why I'm thinking it looks awesome, but I'm just imagining it looks awesome. Like spikes all over. I'm just imagining like black armor. I'm just imagining something like that. So they go out hunting, and he sees he has a leveling system in this, and wonders about that. And so he creates a dagger, but he's not able to use it. Actually, no. I'm going to say he is able to use it because he is like a multi-dimensional being. So he's able to use short swords. His dad's short swords. Because I think, yeah, he used that to take down, to help take down the dragon sovereign. So, yeah. Jeez. Yeah, he has his other short swords, and she asks him why. Actually, no, she doesn't ask him why, because she doesn't know. He doesn't use it yet. He just sees if he can still level up, so he kills a bunch of things while she uses magic. And he just tests out with his fists, because he's super fast. So he does that. He takes a bunch of things down, and gets a bunch of EXP. And so, yeah. He levels up to, I don't know, level 3, I guess. 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever's whatever everyone else got, but, like, more. I don't know, because he's, like, it was just the balloons, so he only got that. He didn't even bother making them shadow soldiers. He wanted to test that out on a different thing, and he sort of wanted to hide his power because he already has plenty. He does that, and yeah. So yeah, then when they eat and he goes to bed, the thing happens, and he does have his own personal inventory, so nothing gets stolen. So yeah, he just gets arrested, and Mariasu says that so just because you saved your own world means that you think you're all high and mighty, that you can do whatever you want now. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like you guys are all idiots if you believe them. It's so obvious. And Rinanitsuki, like, Moriyasu takes very much offense in that, because he's such an idiot. And so, yeah. So he does that, and he sort of, like, vanishes outside there. He walks by, people don't, like, go near him, and he honestly doesn't care about this, because he likes to be alone, since he already has his own... Sorry, no, I sort of want to go back, because I sort of want to do something. So in the throne room, he said, and he disrespects the king by saying, so this is the idiot scheme. I'm sure now. So this is what you idiots are doing. Like, you think that this is gonna do something? Does it make everyone else hate me? I mean, I like being alone. And I would say something else, but I'm not going to. And I sure I sure enough don't take orders from any wannabe king like you. And he gets surrounded by the soldiers, and he says, "Oh, so this is what you're gonna do? You're gonna surround one of the 4 legendary heroes that save your world." And he's like, and the king says, "I am the king of Melromark. You will treat me with the proper respect." It's like, oh, the king of a nation. Ooh, a country. Well, I'm the king. I'm the king of pretty much all undead. So, or pretty much all dead. So, what about that? And everyone else is like, what? And he just says, Belion, come out. And Belion, like, comes out of his shadow, like, surprising everyone with a sword, and bows down to him, like, kneels. And he says, "Who is the most powerful king in this room?" And Grand Marshal Belion says, of course it is you, my sovereign." And so, yeah, he just smiles. "Okay, well, thank you for clearing that up." And Belion was like, of course, my king. Since he does that whole, like, super respectful thing, like egret. So, yeah. The king is shocked, so are the other heroes. Shocked at that, since there's just a guy that appeared, said he was a king, and then disappeared. Sorry, that's my cat. Meowing at the door. Come in. So yeah, walks out, everyone else is avoiding him, and yeah. So, like, he obviously doesn't hide, like, he looks scary with it, like, he just glares at anyone who does anything with his glowing blue eye, his double sans eye, or something like that. Honestly, I think that'd be awesome, though. Like, he's, like, I sort of think of him like, oh, is he, like, the one who created Sans? Because glowing eyes? Like, he, like, look at this. Like, he has a glowing blue eye, and he creates undead. He raises the dead. So, would he be the one who created Sans? Yeah, so he does this, and see, yeah. I'm gonna say that Sans is like, I don't know. Ooh, should I say that Sans is Shadow Sovereign? That'd be awesome. But nah, he can't be. Yeah, so he walks out and he goes to eat, and the guys end up, like, coming to, like, rob him, like, saying that they'll join his group. He says, "Well, if you want to join my group, then come on outside, and it'll be a test." Like, yeah, so, does this. Like, I shall bring out one of my more powerful soldiers, and if you can beat him, like, if you can kill him, then I shall let you join my group. And there's like, okay, like, enough of that, just give me your money, like, give us your money. And he brings out egret, because, like, anyone, like, Grand Marshal Belion is too powerful, too OP for them, since he has, like, the whole centipede sword, which is awesome. So he brings out egret with his broadsword, faces off against them, beats them all up without killing them. He doesn't really like that. I mean, he could do that. Yeah, because he doesn't care bat an eye about killing um, non-innocent people. Like, he just doesn't like killing innocent people, or forcing them to fight if they're already dead. And yes, he did already release the ones that he used for the battle, because if you remember, he had to raise some to because he needed like their help, and they all volunteered after he summoned them to help just until the battle is over, because to save their families and friends. And my cat's laying on my chest. It's so cute and soft. So, yeah, slave trader sees this, and he offers the slave. Jin-Woo does not like this, does not like slaves, but he thinks he might be able to save one or two. Might be able to save a couple. So he does that. And so, he only sees the one that's, really, in need of help. One that's not, feral. Because he sees Raftalia and decides to buy her. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm sort of gonna, he buys her, gives her medicine, and he tells her if she doesn't want to fight for him, then she can go home. And she thinks about this because her home was sort of destroyed, ransacked by the knights. And she tells him that her home has been destroyed by the knights, and all of her friends, her parents were killed in the wave, and her friends were put in slavery along with her. And he says, well, I will gladly help you free them if you want to travel with me. Of course, I will free them either way, but if you want to travel with me, that's fine. She wants to fight, and they end up hunting some other things, like normal beasts, and he shows her his power, he tells her how many, he shows her a shadow soldier, and he tells them to, protect her, at pretty much all cost, they would protect him. And he hides a couple guys in her shadow. He hides Fangs in her shadow. And I guess Greed. Yeah, those two. Anyone who doesn't remember Greed, it's okay. It's easy to forget him. He was the guy that got made out of, the guy whose brother he killed, the S-Class Hunter. Class S Hunter, yeah. Every time I say, S-Class, I'm thinking, One Punch Man. But yeah, so that's pretty much how it is. He's One Punch Man and everyone else is super weak compared to him, at least by the end of it, yeah. He tells her about that, and he pretty much shows her his memories, what happened. And so they fight some beasts. And I am going to change his powers a bit. So I'm going to say that after he awakened as a Shadow Sovereign, he makes it he was... anytime he makes an undead or a Shadow Soldier that was able to talk beforehand. Actually, no, all of them were able to talk since monster language. So he, he's able to choose if they're able to talk like this, after they're raised, or not. So, because I think that might be cool. So, yeah. So when they end up seeing the two-headed dog, he does feed like, he raises shadow soldiers, then feeds the corpses the shield to raise more stuff, like to get more stuff. And that leveling system is different, so he does get a bit stronger. Like, he does get stronger than he was before. So yeah, that happens. And so Jin-Woo, they end up, he tells her to fight or run, and she ends up killing it. He raises it and offers it to her as her personal mount or something like that, like her personal shadow soldier that she's able to control over anyone else, just to help her get over her fears. He does that, and yeah. So yeah, they do this, and so Jin-Woo, Raphtalia accepts this, so she has that beast as her own personal thing, personal playmate, I guess. And he is able to speak monster, so he's able to talk to it if he wants, but he doesn't really, just because, each monster that he sees asks, what happened to the other sovereigns, since he's the Shadow Sovereign, and he just says, I killed them, and then they attack him. Raphtalia asks him about how he's able to speak to monsters. And he just says that he knows the guys who are in charge of them, and he killed them. So, and he's able to speak their language. He sort of explains that as well. So, yeah. So, yeah, then they end up, there's the first wave. And since there was an undead wave, and he is the ruler of the dead, this happens. So they fall, they see him, and then, the biggest guy, that big guy, he asks what the Shadow Sovereign is doing, defending the humans, and he just says, humans of this world are under my protection. Humans in general are under my protection. So, none of you are to attack them. And they all bow down to him. Of course, the Manticore doesn't. He does that, and Raphtalia and everyone else is shocked, since there's a whole bunch of undead that just all of a sudden bow down to one of the 4 legendary heroes. So, yeah. Raphtalia knew that he was able to do that, but didn't know how. So he, then he asks them where the Chimera is, since the Chimera is different. It is not an undead. So it does not, listen to him. And he tells them to go back into the gate, or into the portal, and he'll summon them if he needs them. Or, to go in, or just to, go around and defend the village, I guess. He tells them to defend the village. So, yeah, the undead all of a sudden just, sort of make a circle around. And then the guys, the knights, see this, and they're wondering how the guys are doing that, and so they do the giant thing, and he brings out a bunch of the knights and tells them to put out the fires, along with a bunch of the undead. Tells them to do that, and he creates shadow soldiers out of any of the undead that were killed by that. So, because they still have bodies. And now that he's a Shadow Sovereign, yeah, he's able to do it without fail. No matter what power, like how long they were dead or anything like that. So, yeah. So he asks them what they thought they were doing, and they just say they were defeating the monsters, and he says the monsters weren't hostile. They listen to me now. I control them. You don't need to attack them. They will not fight you as long as you do not fight them. In fact, the reason why they were surrounding the village was to defend it from the Chimera. And, like, they're all, like, you control the undead. Like, you control these monsters? And, so, yeah. He does that. And, so, yeah. Like, they are all shocked. They report back to the king. And the guys at the village, like, they thank him for putting out the fires. Since that would have, like, burnt down their town. And then he heads off to go fight the Chimera, but by the time he gets there, he ends up, like, it ended up dying. Like, it was killed by the other heroes. And so after they left, he creates a shadow soldier out of it. Doesn't name it because it's not super powerful. Since the other heroes were able to take it down, it's not super powerful. Sorry. About the noise. So, yeah. Like he ends up raising a shadow soldier out of that, and none of the other heroes see it. Raftalia sees it, is like, and like is surprised that he can do something on that scale. So yeah. So now he has a giant chimera add to his ranks. I don't actually know if he had that before. But yeah, so he did that, and so he ended up saving them. Sorry, not save, like helping the town, and then the king is sent for their presence, and when he gets there, the king asks him why the undead were, like, why those monsters were listening to him. He just says, well, I rule over death, so the undead, they automatically listen to me, as long as they were not monsters of different origin in the first place. As long as they were not like other monsters. For example, if they were a dragon or a chimera, or if they were humanoid undead, then they listen to me. I'm saying that. So, yeah. The king is shocked by this and says that he truly is a devil of the shield. Because he controls monsters, undead monsters. So, yeah. And so he... he did. And then I'm gonna make this a bit longer, just to sort of encompass this. So then Wadi also hears that Raftalia is a slave, challenges him to a duel. Jin-Woo just says, no, I have no reason to duel you. And he says, well, I challenged you, so that means you have to. And I was like, and why does that mean I have to? And what he also says, because you're a hero, you're honor bound. And Jin-Woo says, "Oh, enough about honor. I already have a knight that is already obsessed with that. He doesn't question what I do, but he still is very honor bound of it. Like, he's honor bound to listen to whatever I say, and he's very respectful. It's weird, to be honest, with how he is." I was like, "You have a knight." And Jin was like, "Oh, do you want to meet him?" I'm gonna say that the shield, I'm gonna say that the shield is able to translate, so he doesn't need to be, like, speaking weird Japanese, because he's not fully fluent in that yet. So, yeah. I asked, would he like to meet him? And he's like, "No, I want to duel you." Jin was like, "Okay, I'll humor you. If you win, you would free her off Talia. And if I win, what would I get?" And I was like, "Things would stay the same. Like, things can stay as they are." Jin-Woo bursts out laughing. It was like, "You really think that's how a duel works? For it to be an official duel, we need to get things of equal worth. You would do that, and I say it takes like 700 silver to undo the slave crest." So he says, "Well, how about 700 silver then, if I win?" Moriyasu says, "Fine. Right. So let's fight." And he says, "Well, can I at least eat first? I mean, Talia was nice enough to grab me a plate, so I don't really want to waste it." I was like, because you forced your slave to get you some food doesn't mean it's been nice." And then Talia gets restrained when she tries to speak up, and like Jin was like, "What is going on here?" And the king was like, "We can't have, because you cursed the poor girl to automatically defend you. We can't have that be the deciding factor." I was like, "Fine, I'll fight you as long as you let her go. Like, let her sit down or something like that. I don't know. Just let her go." And so, yeah. And there's the fight. Jin-Woo, he brings out 2 short swords, which shocks all the heroes and, like, the priest. Like, pretty much anyone who, like, knows how that works. Like, he brings out his short swords. And when I was like, "How can you have weapons?" The shield restricts that. The weapons restrict us from having any weapon other than what we already have. And Jin-Woo just says, "Oh, it's probably just because, like, because I'm the ruler of death, so I'm able to I'm more powerful than the shield or something like that. So I'm able to override that. Like, how about that? I got an explanation for you?" I was like, "Okay, fine." That face looks awesome. So yeah, and I'm like, "Alright, let's fight." And he says, okay, let's do this." And he's like, "Come out." And he has Beru, Egreed, and Belion all come out. And everyone else is like, "What is this? Why are there, why is there, like, some black knights and some sort of bug here?" I was like, "Oh, these, you can call them my summons." And yeah. They're gonna fight you while I watch. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm, like, be a man and fight me yourself. And he says, well, I'm more powerful than all of them, so if you can't beat them, you won't be able to beat me. I mean, I control them, I summon them. I mean, if you want to fight me first, then you gotta be able to beat me. If you want to be able to beat me, you gotta be able to beat them. And I was like, okay, fine. He says, okay, then let's go up in difficulty. Each tier. So, Egreed, you first, since you're the weakest. Because he is technically the weakest, although he does probably look the second best, since I'm assuming that Belion would look even cooler with his, like, centipede sword. Like, or segmented sword, something like that. And he probably looks really awesome since he's a Grand Marshal. Yeah, like that's been with, like, the Shadow Sovereign for like thousands of years or something like that. I don't know. So I was like, if you can beat Egreed, then you can face the Bug. And if you can do that, then you can face Belion. And if you can beat him, then you can face me. How about that? And Mario was like, okay, sure. And Jin-Woo sort of snickers at this, and because he knows that he can't win against him, since, like, one, they're immortal knights, like, they are immortal shadow soldiers, so he couldn't defeat them even if he wanted to, and two, because he's not nearly skilled enough. He placed some shadow soldiers in each of their shadows, like each of the other heroes' shadows, so he is able to see that. He's able to see their level of skill. He knows that he won't be able to beat any of them, and definitely not him. So, yeah. He faces Egreed, who has the broadsword, and he tells Egreed, all of them, to, like, Egreed, fight him without killing him, like, pin him down without killing him, or knock him out, one of the two. And sorry about that. It's just an alarm. Not for me, though. It just happens. So, yeah. Egreed bows and kneels and says, "Of course, yes, my king." And Egreed is able to speak English, I'm gonna say, or Japanese, something like that. Just whatever. He's able to speak human. So he speaks to Mariasu and says, "Let us have an honorable and fair duel." And this was like, huh. Seems there's someone who's more of a hero than you are. He's like, no, he's just a knight. And I'm a king. And, yeah. And Egreed just says, do not insult my sovereign that way. And, yeah, so he says, let us begin. And he gets into a fighting stance. Mariasu does as well. And then they go at it. And Mariasu, he does relatively okay. Like, he ends up stabbing Egreed, like, all over his body, including his head. And he was like, haha, I beat your knight. And Jin-Woo was like, did you now? Well, I think Egreed begs to differ. He's like, what do you mean? You can't. And then he sees Egreed get up, like, he sees Egreed heal from that. He's like, what? Like, everyone's, like, surprised by that, except for Optalia. So Optalia's seen all this before. yeah, so yeah, it's cool, and Jin-Woo did place a shadow soldier on mine, so she wouldn't be able to cheat. Like, it sort of just holds her back, and she's surprised by this, and yeah, blocks her mouth so she can't yell out. And then he agreed, and ends up just like what was that, like Dominator's touch? What was it? Like, he was able to move things without touching it, or without actually holding it. He sort of does that with his sword. It's not as good as Ruler's Authority, of course, but still pretty good. So yeah, he does that, and it fights him for it, and he ends up knocking Oriyasu out. And the king looked over to mine and like wondering why she hasn't done anything yet, and sees her being restrained. And then yells out, like, "Well, the devil of the shield is trying to kidnap my daughter." And other heroes see this. Like Moriyasu, he's knocked out by this time. The other heroes see this, but they're wondering why isn't trying to move away, like bring her somewhere if it's trying to kidnap her. But they still want to stop it. It's like, well, and Jin-Woo just says, "Okay, well done, he agreed. Now come back." And so and you two over there, go back. So the other Shadow Soldier sinks back into Mine's shadow, and she is released, and Bear Rebellion and Ygritte are all going back in his own shadow. And the king asks why he tried to kidnap his daughter, and he said, "I didn't try to kidnap her, I just didn't want her interrupting." So, yeah. He says, "I believe I won." The king tries to rip him off by saying 200 silver as promised. I was like, "Nope, 700. That's what we promised." And so yeah, he ends up winning. He ends up winning, getting his stuff, and yeah, that's the end. Gaining a bit more respect from the other heroes, just because they see he's not that bad, since he really had an honorable guy with him. So yeah, next time I will finish some stuff, we will see Philo in the second wave, or the third, I guess, technically. And we'll see some more Shadow Soldiers. So yeah, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.